My name is Joannie. I'm a compulsive overeater and food addict. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the gray sheet. I write my food down, call it into my sponsor. In between those 3 delicious meals, I only have black coffee, tea, or diet soda, and there's always a way to stay abstinent. And I'm so honored that Jack asked me. And normally I'm working at this time. And we spoke this morning, and he said, you available today? And I said, yes, and so it was a match made in heaven. And I was also at the Connecticut retreat, and it feels like today has been sort of a continuation. And what I'm hoping to do is share some of the goodies that I got from it, because it was such a special retreat. And some of my buddies are on, who I was with this weekend. I'm staying with a gray sheet friend, so in Long Beach, Long Island, and I live in the sunny South in North Carolina. And the phone number I have up there is also my WhatsApp number, if that's of use. But anyway, I wanted to say that there's a quote that I really love that really encapsulates the essence of what I've gotten in Gray Sheet so far. And that is that, when you come to Gray Sheet, you'll have to change you change your food, but to stay, you'll change everything. And that's really true for me. So food was certainly my problem. I've lost, and I don't want to find it, but I've released 80 pounds since I've been in the program. I came in at 197 at 5'1", and that's pushing it at 5'1". My highest weight was 230, and I know that because I was a Weight Watcher junkie. I would go to Weight Watchers, I don't know how many times. I would at least 50 times minimum. And I would go, I'd get the newest program because this time it was going to work. And it never worked. It never worked. And I've done everything from A to Z. I saw Dr. Atkins in person when I was 16. He had the high protein, low carb diet. And, I think my mother at that point was desperate. I didn't realize, how major my problem was. But growing up, looking good was really important. And so I saw Dr. Atkins, and she tried these other diet doctors with pills, but I could never take the pills. It just didn't work for me. And so when I got to college, and always in my junior and senior year, I went to diet camps. I would lose 20 pounds. That's what I had to lose. I would feel ashamed that I had to go there, that I couldn't go back to my regular camp that I loved. And it was so shameful to me. And it was so embarrassing, to see people I had grown up with. And then here I was heavy, and I couldn't go back to enjoy being with them for the summer, which was this highlight of my year, was being at that summer camp. And so that started it. And then in college, I looked good for a minute, and literally a minute. I had one gray dress. I'll never forget this. It still had the tag on, and I never got to wear it because while I came in, and I was doing Atkins, by November, I had gained at least 30 pounds. And by the Christmas break, I had gained 40. And then it was up and down. And then I was so embarrassed to go back to college that I stayed home the first semester of my sophomore year. And when I was thinner, I was dating. It was great. They said I looked like a brick S-house, which at that time was a compliment. That I looked good. That was the fraternity next door. And nobody had ever said that before. But that only lasted a minute. And then once I started gaining the weight, nobody was giving me compliments. And I wanted to be invisible anyway. And so I think I got up to 150 when I was at home. And I started going to another college to see if I could, not lose time. But it turned out that I stopped going to classes too. All I did was eat. I did go back to the university in Boston, and I did the next semester and actually was able to finish on time by going summers. But I say this only because that seed of, you can't show up if you're fat. You're unacceptable being fat. It's
10 minutes, Joni, 10 or less.
Thank you so much. And so it continued that way. I tried everything. I've been, I would say fairly successful as in career-wise, but in terms of other aspects of my life, the food had me. And I think that, and as I got older, I tried more things, including the lap band. That was my last best idea before I got to GreySheet. And then I was a poster child for that. And I say that only because it really seemed like maybe this would work. Now, of course, we know it doesn't work because they didn't lap band my brain. But I did lose weight. I thought it was great that I only gained back, I gained all but 10 pounds. But I even thought that was good when I came to GreySheet because I got to, 13 pounds. I had the lap band at 213. And once I started eating sugar a couple of years in, all bets were off and I gained weight quickly. And I say all this history, and I haven't talked about my history much because, of late, because I like to focus on the how I live abstinently piece. And when I came to GreySheet, it was by the grace of God, literally. I had prayed for a solution. It was Passover. I'm Jewish, and the conversation we were having about that holiday was it's the energy of freedom. And that was what I wanted: freedom from the compulsive eating, freedom from, feeling so embarrassed, and just a way out. And I was also afraid I was going to die. I'm divorced, and I thought that I would, wake up and, or I, have something horrible that would befall me, so to speak. And once I started, I was so desperate when God brought me to GreySheet that I think it was the juncture between hope and desperation meeting that I've been so committed to do whatever needed to be done to stay abstinent. And that's my commitment, is to do service, is to be on meetings, I don't make phone calls well, except if I'm the booker, then I'm okay. And so, and certainly the food, and as I say in my mantra, 3 delicious meals. It's important to me to really register that it's been delicious, it's been satisfying, and I pray before each meal. And that now that we have that for me, it wasn't just a diet coming in. And the theme of the retreat was, what was it called? A way of living, or a plan for living, a program for living, a program for living. And that's what I feel like I've gotten. And so much gratitude, not to mention the piece that has really taken my program on steroids, in addition to working the steps, which I do with a big book sponsor, a step sponsor. I also do 2-way prayer. How to Listen to God is the name of the book. And I do that every day. And I would have to say, for me personally, the GreySheet plus How to Listen to God and the 12 steps and our community is beyond compare. It's like I feel like I've been catapulted into another dimension. I'm not, I don't feel scared that I'm going to eat compulsively. But on the other hand, I don't take it for granted. I'm here, I was here for the Connecticut retreat, and then I'm also going to be here for my niece's bas mitzvah. And that's going to be, like 3 or 4 days of family and my food preparation and my emotional and spiritual preparation. So I feel like the Connecticut retreat came perfectly beforehand, because I feel like, they used to use that expression, locked and loaded. I feel like I'm ready. And that this morning I listened to Linda, who was fabulous, at 9 a.m. And, I feel like I've gotten so much juice, both at the Connecticut retreat and today. And I would say that the biggest piece that can also be a red flag for me is gratitude. Normally, I feel tremendous gratitude, and I make a list after my two-way prayer of my gratitudes. And normally, I write down 18 gratitudes. 18 in Hebrew.
5, Joni, 5 minutes left.
Thank you. Means basically, good luck. That it's right. So you want to wish people that good wishes, kind of thing. And so most days I do 18. But I've taken myself off the hook that it has to be 18 every day. But, I can't believe that I can get dressed and not have to worry that I'm not in a size 24 and that nothing looks good, that I don't have to wear. Not only did I wear one undergarment, but I thought if I could wear three, when they had those 5-pound thinner things, I think, okay, if I can wear three, maybe I'm going to look 15 pounds thinner, but I didn't. And anytime I would go to a nice function, and I say this because I'm going to one Saturday night, and it's like so breathtaking, that I can just wear my own underwear and not have to feel so stuffed and encased and still not look good, and feel embarrassed. I wouldn't let people take pictures of me because the worst view was my side view, and I literally was 5 by 5. And so it's just a miracle to me to pass a mirror or a storefront and not get, like you really look like that. I'm not saying I love the way I look. I still deal with, the frustrations. I broke my wrist, getting out of the way of a car hitting me, walking in the street 2 weeks ago. My first thought was being grateful, A, that I wasn't killed, B, that I wasn't 80 pounds heavier, because what additional damage could I have done putting my full weight onto my arm and wrist? So that felt really, really amazing. But I have to say that an unexpected gift in this program for me has been the Gray Sheet community. And seeing all of you and if I don't know you yet, I hope I will get to know you, and feeling like being in the middle of the herd is exactly where I want to be. And that getting to know, these dear people who are on this journey with me is extraordinary, because I never wanted to be in a club that wanted me. No matter how great the club was, it was like, not so much, or I didn't think I fit in anyway and was waiting to get found out. But I don't feel that way in here. And one of the things also that was mentioned, and we went through the 12 steps over the weekend, was that as we're in Gray Sheet and as we're, developing in our program, there aren't multiple versions of us that show up, and that we become more one and being more of ourselves. And I feel
2 minutes, Joni, 2.
Thank you, Nancy. That I found like that has been such a beautiful present of Gray Sheet, that I don't have to wonder, how am I going to show up at work versus how am I going to show up, with my family versus how am I going to show up with my GreySheeters, and do I feel better then? Do I feel worse then? I don't have to, and that I can recognize as, okay, that's an interesting thought, pause, and then, work through that. And when, I've had a number of no matter what, since being in Gray Sheet. When I came in, one of my sons was not doing well, and that continued for a year and a half. And the slogan, and slogans are important too, to me, was food in one hand, life in the other, and we don't clap. And so as hard as it was, and when I'd go to sleep at night, I didn't know what the phone call was going to be. And, and as I said, that continued for 18 months, but still, it was such a strength that I was able to be abstinent, regardless of what was going on. My mother passed away in June of 2022, and that was so upsetting, not only that she died, but that I couldn't attend her funeral because I'm in North Carolina and she was in New York, and, but I was able to Zoom, but it was still upsetting. And I've been in a car accident. I got rear-ended. Thank God, I was okay. It was a concussion and whiplash. but still it was staying abstinent. And what a miracle that is. Now, when I almost got hit 2 weeks ago, I do have to say, my thought after being grateful was, I think I'm hungry. Now, that was interesting because I had just finished my breakfast, before I got on the way to work. And that, and being hungry for the first couple of days, the thought, I wasn't actually hungry, but the thought was, am I hungry? And to be able to counter that with, no, Joni, I understand, it's like to have some sweet voice that comes in soothing me. Thank you, Nancy, is such a gift. And so for so many reasons, the physical, emotional, and spiritual reasons of being a gray sheeter. I did do the census, and I am a proud greater sheeter, a proud gray sheeter. And thank you again, Jack, for asking me to speak.